welcome back to another Film Geek video. Today, in honor of the 50th anniversary of the film Jaws, I am ranking all 4 of the Jaws films in the franchise. I wonder which one's my favorite. Which one could be the best? Alright, we'll get to that in a minute, but I also want to do one other thing, and that is show off a really cool birthday gift that I was given from my friend over at AMC Theaters. This isn't a plug or nothing. This isn't one of their official AMC Theater popcorn buckets. This is a personal birthday gift. You can find this at AMC Theaters, and I think any of the theaters. I think this is more of a Universal movie or Universal Pictures kind of popcorn bucket, but anyways, I digress. This is what I was given for my 50th birthday gift from my friend. Look at that! It's the Jaws popcorn bucket, and watch this. Land shark. Yeah, so here we are. We have the Jaws popcorn bucket available at your local movie theater. Like I said, my friend over at AMC gave this to me, and it's just awesome, isn't it? Look at this thing. I mean, you're like, oh no, oh my head is going to get the popcorn. But yeah, all I could think of every time I saw this was like this. So I'll see if I can get him to line up here correctly. Oh, here we go. Candygram. If you know, you know. Alright, so there you go, guys go. This is the popcorn bucket from the theater with the 50th anniversary of Jaws. Not a specific plug or anything like that. Literally just my birthday gift that I wanted to show off to you guys. Because my buddy knows exactly how much I absolutely love the movie Jaws. I do enjoy all of the films to varying degrees of this cinematic franchise, but yes, number one, as you're going to learn, is number one, honestly. I mean, you can't get any better than Jaws. The film itself is just cinematic magic. But you know what? It's enough of me sitting here jabbering on. We got work to do, so let's head on over to that series of tubes, that information superhighway that was given to us by Al Gore, the internet, because it is time to rank all of the movies in the Jaws franchise. Welcome to the internet, everybody. Let's get this party started. Now, actually, before I get things started, I did want to show off something really quick. I don't know if you could really tell because of the way everything's framed or not, but I am wearing a Jaws-themed shirt here. I'm just going to stand up and show this off a little bit. Hey, look at that, right? We got the Jaws original poster here. It's a Hawaiian shirt. I thought that was cool. So I threw that in. Okay, anyways, let's get into this, shall we? Now, it's no secret. The number one movie, of course, is going to be good old Jaws, the first one. I mean, come on, guys. It's one of the greatest movies ever made, if not in the top 10 greatest films ever made of all times. Definitely one of the best horror movies ever made. And I actually have kind of a fun story attached to this movie, right? So I was born right after my parents went and saw this movie. I mean, right after. They went and saw it in the evening, and boom, baby boy came right after that morning. So when I got to meet Richard Dreyfuss at Planet Comic Con years later, I decided to tell him the story. So I was telling him, I said, so basically my folks went and saw Jaws, and then that next morning I was born. So basically, you literally scared the me out of her. And he thought that was absolutely hysterical and laughed a lot. We got some good photos. He took a picture with me and then he pulled my beard and all. Had a great time. It was a lot of fun meeting Richard Dreyfuss. But anyways, let's talk about Jaws. Now, one of the things, of course, that makes this movie so amazing is the cinematography and a lot of those moments in this film. One of my favorite moments in this movie is just so absolutely subtle that you don't even really notice just how awesome it is. And that's when all like the police chief and everybody is on this barge with the mayor, and they're discussing like the first time that talking about the shark and everything, and they're on this barge heading out into the water. And the thing that was so crazy about the shot was that the camera is at the end of the barge and it just kind of stays with them. So everything in the scenery behind them is moving around, yet everyone right there in front of the camera is just staying still. And I always thought that looked so amazing. Of course, you cannot ignore the scene where they're on the boat and all three of the guys are sitting together telling war stories about their scars, singing songs and all. And then, of course, Robert Shaw goes into the speech about the Indianapolis, the USS Indianapolis, which in all honesty, in my opinion, as an adult looking back on the film, is probably one of the most frightening parts of the entire movie and one of the most amazingly delivered monologues in cinema history. And what's really interesting about that scene too, I read an article about this, is that no one really knows exactly who came up with it, like who wrote it entirely. Now, a lot of credit does go to Robert Shaw himself, who is a playwright in his own respect, so I wouldn't be surprised if he came up with it. Basically, they were all trying to figure out how to tell the story, and then Robert Shaw was like, I've got an idea. And then it was shot and done, and it was perfect. That entire scene is just cinema gold, with the three of them sitting around talking and everything, bonding as they're going out to fight this shark. And let's talk about the shark a little bit. One of the things that I've always loved about Jaws is the fact that you barely see the shark, and it adds to the suspense and tension throughout the entire film. Now, I know that that was not necessarily the way the movie was supposed to turn out, because the shark just wouldn't work, and so they really were limited on what they could actually do with the mechanical shark for the movie. So they ended up just not showing it an awful lot, which I thought was an extremely good choice. I mean, there's so many elements to this movie that I absolutely love. I like the fact that there's this overwhelming dread and intense suspense throughout most of the film, and then the movie takes a little bit of time to have this amazingly tender moment with father and son sitting at a table together, just having one of those great little moments, And what's so great about that is that's I kind of identify with that entire scene, because my dad worked nights at the Ford plant, and when he would get home in the really early mornings, I would sometimes meet him at the top of the stairs, scare the hell out of him when he walked in the door, but then we would sit down together, he'd make me a bowl of oatmeal, and I would talk to my dad and get to know him a little bit more. And in those moments, that scene really reminds me of those moments I had with my dad all those freaking years ago. So in all, yes, Jaws is the best film in this entire franchise, hands down. There is no argument, and I don't even think that this is necessarily an edgy comment to make, that the first Jaws film is better than any of the others. I mean, in all honesty, the Jaws sequels are not what people consider good movies, as a matter of fact. So from here on out, everything is complete and absolute opinion schlock. Okay, all of these movies are bad. We all agree it. 2 is debatably good. Okay, you can debate 2 as a passably decent movie, but all in all, guys, these are bad movies. So let's get into it, all right? So what's interesting is my number 2. What is my second favorite Jaws movie? And that's actually Jaws 3, or as I like to say, or as I like to call it, the original name, Jaws 3D. And the reason why I like Jaws 3D more than 2, even though cinematically speaking 2 is a better movie, at least they tried something different, and we'll get to number 2 eventually. But in this film, it takes place at SeaWorld, and it's now adult Mike and Sean, who's coming back from college to visit his brother. And while they're at this SeaWorld, a baby great white shark gets into the park. The baby great white shark gets in there, and then they decide, hey, let's try to keep this thing in captivity. Now, if you know anything about sharks, especially great whites, no one has ever been able to keep a great white in captivity. And so they play that out in the movie. Little baby great white shark dies. This makes another great white shark mad, Mama great white shark. So then Mama great white shark gets into this amusement park and just starts tearing shit up. This film is schlocky silliness at its finest, and I think that's why I like it so much more than all of the other ones, is because it literally it doesn't take itself serious at all. This movie knows exactly what it is from beginning to end. It is just a silly, goofy shark attack film. And it goes to all of the tropey shark attack areas, but it also takes place in SeaWorld, which I think brings it to a completely different level. And it also preys on that whole scared of like getting into a swimming pool and there being a shark in there. So I feel like that actually does kind of add a little tension to this movie, but it is just, in all honesty, a really bad movie, okay? And we all know, if you know these movies, we know the special effects in this film. They are god-awful. The movie was made to be 3D, and it was filmed in 3D. They really wanted to play up on it. For some odd reason, at this time period in the 80s, 3D films were the new hotness. I know, we did it again back in the late 90s and the early 2000s, but back then, we didn't have as much technology to make it look so good. It looks pretty shoddy, and even watching this movie today in a non-3D version, even on the Blu-ray, there's a lot of stuff that looks terrible. I mean, this is an ugly movie not watching it in 3D. I just don't, it's really hard, and I used to watch it mostly on my, on a DVD, and it wasn't so bad, but then I got the Blu-ray version thinking that it was going to look better, and it's still an extremely bad copy of the film, and I owe that to the 3D elements, and they are terrible. They're all that you would expect. Here we go. This is probably better than the special effect that they use of the shark crashing into, like, the SeaWorld Center, their computer hub, if you will. All right, that about does it right there. If you get the idea of just how absolutely horrendous that stuff looks on the big screen. And I mean, this movie went all in on the 3D. There is moments in the movie where you're just like, okay, move on, stop doing it. And even the very end of the movie, the last shot of the movie, they even use terrible 3D special effects. Ooh, so yeah, the movie itself is god-awful, but I loved watching this movie as a kid, and it made me want to go to SeaWorld, and then I saw Blackfish. I don't want to go there so much anymore. Alright, let's move on, okay? Let's move on to the next movie on the list, and that is Jaws: The Revenge. Jaws: The Revenge. Now, this one is literally only getting an edge up only because of nostalgia. I want to put that out there right now. For some strange reason, my sisters and I would watch this movie constantly on HBO. It seemed like every morning we woke up, this damn movie was playing. So you know what? We had nothing better to do. So for like a solid summer, I swear, we watched Jaws: The Revenge. I knew this movie forwards and backwards. Later on down in life, when I got a DVD player, I bought the damn movie in the old snap case. Look at that, folks. The old snap case, Jaws: The Revenge. Not because I love this movie, because this movie's so bad. And it's not a so bad it's good movie. It's just plain bad. Okay, so in this movie, we start back up there at Amity, and everything is, it's the holidays. Christmas is coming, and Sean is out. Now, Sean is the chief of police, and he's out doing his stuff, going around. Well, wouldn't you know it, he has to go get this log out in the ocean, and once he gets out there, there's that pesky old Jaws. First off, does a pretty good horrifying biting of the arm off scene for a PG movie, because this is 80s PG, let's be honest here, and then devour Sean. Sean is gone, no more Sean, bye Sean. So this sets up the events for what happens next. So then the mother then moves down to the Bahamas with Mike, who Mike is working as a marine biologist who is studying sea slugs, I suppose, sea snails, something like that. They're, stuff. Anyways, they're in the Bahamas, and she goes down there to just kind of get away from things because of all the trauma and everything back up Amity. So, down there in the Bahamas, then she starts having these horrible nightmares about shark attacks again, thinking that it's just the grief, of course. The grief talking, and that's all. But no, there is a shark in the Bahama waters. But how could it be a great white? Because they keep saying over and over again that a great white shark doesn't like warm water, so it wouldn't be in the Bahamas, which is not factual, actually. A shark, a great white shark especially, has a very wide range of temperatures that they can exist in. The great white shark does enjoy colder temperatures, yes, but they will be in warmer waters at certain times for no good reason whatsoever. So there's your fun Shark Week little detail. Anyways, so down in the Bahamas, this shark chases them. I shit you not. It is called Jaws: The Revenge for a reason. So she goes down there to take out the family that wronged two other sharks, okay? So, yeah. This movie's so goofy. Oh, Michael Caine is in this movie too. And the best thing about Michael Caine in this whole thing was years later in an interview. Now, I'm pretty sure about this. I read about this, and I might not have this verbatim, okay? Anyway, so in an interview, Michael Caine said about this film, an interviewer asked, what are your feelings on Jaws the Revenge? And Michael Caine says, you know what? I've never seen the movie, but the house I bought my mother with the money from it is gorgeous. And that pretty much sums up his entire in this movie, period. Not that he does a bad performance, he's actually the best part of the entire movie, and you're constantly sitting there going, why in the hell is Michael Caine in this movie? Oh, I also forgot out something too that was not really well fleshed out about this movie. Okay, the mom and the shark have a slight psychic connection. It doesn't get well fleshed out whatsoever. But like every time the shark attacks someone, she's like, and then it just, they never really go into it, but it's like, oh my God, does she have some kind of psychic connection with the shark? I love this movie. It is so silly, stupid, and dumb. And it's not a so bad it's good movie. This is a bad movie, but everything in this film is so ridiculous. And the fact that it's attached to one of the greatest movies ever made just adds to the ridiculousness of this film. And that's why it's not my bottom movie. My bottom movie, sadly, is the one that everyone can defend, and that is Jaws 2. And it's not because it's a bad movie. It is the one of these films that you can legitimately sit down and argue is a well-made movie. Does it come to the levels of the original Jaws? Of course not. Does it have the lovable characters and so on? No. Does it have good cinematography? Yeah, it's passable. The story itself is pretty much just a rehash of the same thing, except some subtle differences. You still have the whole, it's being told during summertime, and we don't want a shark in the water during the summer because we have all of this money coming into town. So that element's still there. So the mayor and everybody, of course, turn against him, turn against the chief and everything, and so he has to try to go out on his own and take out the shark. Well, in this one, they throw in a different element, and that is Mike is now a teenager, not a kid anymore, and he's really into sailing with his buddies. So they're always going out into the ocean and sailing, so you can kind of see where this is going. The entire movie just kind of climaxes into this big sailing adventure going out to this lighthouse. Jaws attacks, and that's about it. That is the entire movie. Sorry for all the spoilers. And what's weird too is this movie is 2 freaking hours long. Not even the original film is that long. It just lingers on with more drama than you can possibly deal with. It's just trying really hard to exist, and that is why I think number 2 is probably my least favorite out of all of them, because if I'm going to watch something closely related to the original Jaws film, I'm going to watch Jaws. I'm not going to watch Jaws 2. If I want to watch something that's silly, goofy, and fun with a lot of really bad special effects, but Louis Gossett Jr., I'm going to watch 3. And if I want to just sit around and remind myself of eating Fruity Pebbles with my sisters in our PJs, I am going to watch number 4. So that's basically how it goes with these movies. It's not that 2 is the worst movie of the bunch. It arguably is the best of all of the sequels because at least it's a tolerable film. But it just doesn't bring anything new to the table, and it doesn't have really any reason to exist except for the fact that the studio wanted to make some more money off a big shark that eats people. So there you have it, guys. That is it. My entire list and ranking of the Jaws films from 1 to number 4. And yes, they do vary in quality. They go downhill just like that. Every one of those sequels have aged like milk. Let's just put it that way, guys. If it's not just visually aged poorly, subject matter poorly, story-wise poorly, they're all terrible. But one thing remains constant. Jaws is the greatest horror film. Well, okay, I'm not going to say the greatest. One of the greatest horror films ever made. Alright guys, that's all I have for you today. Thanks again for checking out the Film Geek. If you liked what you saw here today, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and give me the old thumbs up so I know you like what you're seeing. And if there's one more thing you can do, folks, that is keep watching movies. You know I'm gonna.